Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of Hiring and Inspiring. Today's guest is Oscar Penagos.
Hey, man.
Oscar,
Yeah.
hey mate.
As far as
Oscar,
you speak Spanish, do you?
lo siento, un poco.
That's good.
Hola, 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 Oscar.
That's a good enough. Yeah. Something you can say, can I go to a toilet or something like that? You sorted.
Gracias, amigo.
Yeah, good.
Oscar joins me today. He's up in Brisbane. Recent connection of mine. He works in sales. He works as an account manager for Swagelok, Australia, New Zealand. Um, Background in engineering, and also has, as we've just touched upon, South American heritage, coming from Colombia. So we're looking forward to having a chat to Oscar today, understanding what he's been doing in his most recent role, and finding out a bit more about, let's say, his journey from coming from South America to now working in the sales industry and the industrial space, up in Brisbane. So, Oscar, mate, welcome to the show. How are you getting on?
Good, man. No, thank you very much. That explains a lot of my background. And yeah, I've been in Australia seven and a half years already. Become a citizen 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's a good
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah,
That was a long journey.
yeah,
So enjoying it now.
yeah. Good man. Well, thanks for joining me. Look, I said at the start of the show, introduce you, as you work as an account manager at Swagelok. That's where I want to start. I want to start in the present. It's a newish role for you. You've been with the business now for 6 months or so. Um,
Yeah, something like that.
broadish question: how's it all going so far? How are you finding the new role?
Well, so far so good. Still getting familiar with the portfolio, customers. It's a mix of mining, R&D, food and bev, and as well as the team. I mean, it's a big team. So, but I know everyone at the moment. So, still getting in contact with few people in Melbourne or New Zealand. Everyone works different in a different way, so I'm still getting familiar with who to pair with, and who works with your style best, or who you can just actually have better communication. In terms of sales, increasing every month, I believe. And well, the longer you stay with the accounts, the better numbers you will be reflected on them.
Mm.
And in terms of life work balance, well, Swagelok allowed us to work from home. It's a substantial win, to be honest. And it's an early start, 8 a.m. and early finish, 4:30 for me. That's great, to be honest. That's one of the earliest training hours that I ever had. Normally it's like 8:30 to 5 or 9 to 6. 8 to 4:30 is not bad. 4:30 is a good time to go home, to be honest, and still having time to, you know, go to the city, buy a book, having a coffee. Still a couple of shops open.
Yeah, nice man.
Yeah.
So, for someone who maybe is listening doesn't necessarily know too much about Swagelok, or what a sales role would involve for you guys, how could you how could you explain it in sort of basic terms, and what you're actually selling product wise, and how you're helping your customers, and who the sort of customers are mainly?
That's one of the main questions for most of the new customers. Swagelok, it's very well known in oil and gas industry and a little bit of mining industry. They know all the portfolio, custom solutions, services of survey, as well as the regular portfolio. But for the rest of the industries, unfortunately, we only providers of fittings, and it's a shame because our portfolio goes further than that. We got gauges, we got proper panels that we can construct in our warehouse in Melbourne. So it's a big company with big solutions, but we need to reach the customers and trying to explain this. Otherwise, it makes sense. I mean, 70% of the business is on oil and gas. So obviously they fully into the portfolio. The reason I'm here is that they want R&D, food and bev, and all of these other industries to grow. And in order to do that, we have to achieve them, having meetings, explain to them the rest of the portfolio. So to answer your question, yes, we do fittings, we do valves, but as well as we do custom solutions, panels, assemblies, as well as survey, such as leak test and advising, engineering advising, training as well, certified training. So most of people in the industry already have training on fittings, but they normally forget the basics of that. So we're trying to re-establish the basics for them, and refresh the knowledge in terms of fittings and tube bending and everything that you have to take into account when you installing any kind of fitting.
Mm. So, what would a typical day look like, say, in the role?
Hmm. That's like very much like any other sales role, checking emails in the morning, following up pending activities, and um, for many look for as many visits that you can arrange. To be honest,
Yeah.
that involves obviously as well admin jobs, reporting, internal team, follow-up calls, and as I just was telling you before we start, in sometimes it's just really hard. You get dragged by small things, but that takes time, and unfortunately, you cannot achieve what you wanted at the very morning.
Mm. I was going to ask that, main challenges so far that you found. What are the? It sounds like you're doing really well, obviously, but there are naturally some obstacles to overcome in any sales role. How are you? What are the sort of main challenges you faced? Do you think?
Yeah, challenges. Well, I think Swagelok. Well, what I did before was more related to lab equipment and industrial equipment, such as um, flow meters, pH measurements, all of these, kind of electric stuff. Here, it's more mechanical. So the most difficult part is find the perfect time to actually be involved on the projects. When you're talking about instrumentation or lab equipment, since the very beginning, you have to be involved in the project. Since the very infrastructure part of the project until the very end. But when it comes to Swagelok, if you are too early, the end user cannot be interested in talking about fittings and panels and how to do the interface of the equipment basically. But if you're too late and everything is constructed, well, the opportunity is gone. So that the main challenge is actually find the perfect time to actually start talking about fittings, valves, tubing, and all of these kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
That's one of the
sorry.
main ones. The other one is perhaps arrange meetings with customers. As I told you before, most of my database now Swagelok because of fittings. It's kind of hard just make people exciting for talking about
Yeah.
fittings. It's just like, well, do you want to meet me and catch up? Yeah, well, we're going to talk about fittings. Obviously, it's not going to be at the very beginning interesting, but when they know about the rest of the portfolio, they're very interested in talking about solutions and surveys and the best way to actually make everything as a complete solution instead of just like fittings individually.
Yeah. So is that in related into your sort of sales approach? You're not just selling a single sort of product. You're trying to aim to sell a whole
A
solution.
whole solution, yeah. So, for example, if you're talking about destruction of a sample, so you need a full panel that prepare the sample to actually take it to the analyzer. Let's say oxygen. So you need to extract from the main line to going through a panel to remove, humidity, for example, and leave the gas ready to be analyzed by the oxygen analyzer.
Yeah.
That's something that we can do easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. And how about, I was going to ask, you mentioned your previous role more in the instrumentation space. That was more of an internal role, like an office based position.
It was an internal role, yes.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I think that I should have never do the internal job. To be honest, that was so monotonous, and that was
Okay.
hard for me. That was a hard time for me. I mean, I'm not the kind of person who likes to be in the office the whole day doing repetitive activity.
Mm.
Um, like so many people are happy with that. Unfortunately, I'm not one of
Yeah.
those. But it seems that it's a mandatory step that you have to do before knocking the door for a account manager position. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but that what happens. If it was on my hands before, I would have done for perhaps 6 months and
Mm.
then move on. But you know, different circumstances allow me to stay with the company another 9 months.
Yeah. Because I was going to
Yeah,
ask, how have you found that transition? Going from internal to then the external in the field in front of customers a lot more. It sounds like you're enjoying it.
yeah, no, I'm very happy with that. To be
Yeah.
honest, it's a bigger team, so I found it more interesting. You got more interaction with part of your team. Unfortunately, with my last company, there was such a small team in Brisbane, so there was no any you know chat or interaction with the rest of the
Yeah.
team. It was like purely morning and good afternoon, see ya. Perhaps how
Yeah.
was your weekend on Monday, and that's it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, enjoying a little bit more. Having a bigger team, there is much more banter
Yeah.
around, and yeah, it's enjoyable. As for the role, it's more being in contact with customers and making decisions. Being in charge of your own workload and how to deal with things is good. Instead of as an internal, you got so many ideas and you got interaction with customers, but unfortunately, the last call is from the person outside. So even if you don't like it, you have to follow instructions of the person or the external. That's something that can be frustrating for a person like me, unfortunately,
Mm.
and something that you have to get on if you want to stay in the company. But being an account manager, all of them are your calls, and that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, if you fail because you did a wrong call. If you win because you did the right thing.
Yeah. No, I love it. Mate, just going back in time then a little bit, we touched upon it at the start. You moved across to Australia from Colombia 7 years ago now,
Yeah, 7.5.
7.5 years ago. How do you sort of reflect on that move? What happened at that point in your life in Colombia for you to move to Australia at that time?
Yeah, as soon as I finished my university, it was 2014. I started working with this company called Hack,
Yeah.
and it was very good, very good. Lots of dramas, hate, love. Hey, working in a company in Colombia is a completely different story than working in a company in Australia.
Okay.
It's like a big soap opera, basically. It's
Okay.
like a lot of gossip, hate, and it's a different story. But I did enjoy it. It's part
Yeah.
of our culture. We finish on Fridays. We're going straight away to the party, having drinks and stuff. Um, I don't know if it's good or not, but in Australia, it doesn't happen quite often. It has to be like a proper occasion to actually have a
Mhm.
couple of drinks with the mates and stuff. Well, the mates from the office. And then people going with the family, which is good as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, but in Colombia, even when they had family at that time, all the people on me, they didn't care. They went for a couple of drinks with me and having a long party. I enjoyed it so much. That point, I had this boss called Nestor. Um, I think it's one of the best boss I ever had. However, really hard to deal with. He got his temperance, and when he got angry, God, you don't want to be even closer to him. Yeah, so but you know, wise man, lots of experience, especially in public processes. Jesus Christ, tenders and all of that. He was a machine. He can make 2 or 3 in a day. So lots of experience over there, problem solved, industry experience, lots of meetings with customers. That was all the things that you need to actually have in a proper school to go to account manager position in any place of the world. Um, Most of the things in Colombia, or most of the deals are based on price. Unfortunately, quality and suitability are kind of the second thing. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
um, most of the sales are driven by price. So the added value has to be really well set to avoid that barrier of the price. Hack is top quality at the moment. And to convince a customer to get hack, you have to just actually show the data and well, tell them why they should have hack instead of another cheaper product. That was one of the challenges working with hack at that time.
And then, so what brought you about to go? I'm going to move to Australia. What happened there?
Oh, true. I forgot that. Sorry.
You forgot my question,
No, man.
mate.
Yeah, no, I was. Yeah, it's all of these memories just took me to there, and I completely forgot the question. Sorry, man. So yeah, I was one day looking at Nestor, and he was at that time speaking in English with a customer in America. I think I was thinking, this is myself being extra confident and cocky. The only difference between this guy and me is the English. So I couldn't speak any English at that time. I was
Okay.
talking about 2014, 2015. So I was thinking, if I could speak English, surely I can have that position easily. I was completely wrong, but that was my thought. And I said, well, let's try to learn some English. So I tried like different courses and stuff like that in Colombia, and it didn't work. I mean, you have to be involved in the culture and
Yeah.
involved for an English environment to actually get it properly. So I just decided to, go to any country that speak English as a native language. You see options like Canada or America or Australia. To be honest with you, I didn't even think of Australia at the very beginning. It was a
Mhm.
friend called Harold say, "Have you ever thought of Australia?" And I'm like, "Not really. No, Australia. It's like, like." One of these countries that doesn't have buildings. I was like, no, mate, that's the country. And I was like, really? Oh, let's have a look. And yeah, I didn't know at that time much about Australia. Start to talk about, these kind of agencies that send people to learn English and stuff like that. We start to talk about Australia. They convinced me really bad. My intention at the very beginning wasn't, stay in the country. It was purely English and say, yeah,
Yeah.
6 to 9 months learning English and come back to get my boss position. Basically, that was the plan. And yeah, essentially because English. And then once after, well, it took me around 2 years to actually speak proper English. Oh, it was before it was broken as. Not that it's not now. Now it's broken, but not that much. But yeah, and then when I check again my list to do, there was more things in Australia to do. So I just
Mhm.
decided, well, let's stay a little bit longer, still a bit longer, a bit longer, a bit longer until I say, well, there's no point coming back. Yeah,
So you pretty much just you had a career. It was you started your career in Colombia. You were on your way, and you kind of almost just stopped it in its tracks and moved to a country completely out of the blue a little bit just to learn another language
and clean
and
toilets.
yeah and but it was also I think you had to sort of go down a couple of levels, right, in your sort of career journey when you were in
Not even a
Australia.
couple, man. We're talking
Because you were
about like
working in
type of
hospitality
Europe.
and stuff, right?
Yeah, no, I started at I don't know. Have you been in Brisbane before?
Yeah, a
Sure.
couple of times, yeah.
Yeah, right. There is a cinema called Newfound Cinemas.
Mm.
I started working there as a cleaner. There was this guy, this Greek guy called Peter. Lovely man, but we worked with him what like for 7 months, and that was the only person who gave us a job. And I say us, me and my girlfriend,
Yeah.
because we couldn't speak anything. So it was like, I'm looking for a job. I'm like, yeah. What's your name? I'm looking for a job. Yeah, right. What's your age? Do you have experience? I'm looking for a job. That was the only phrase that I could even say. So this guy thought that it was fun, and the first task was like delivering these flyers
Mm.
and the box mails and stuff. We did couple of weeks these flyers for the cinema,
Yeah.
and then after a couple of weeks, he said, "Would you be interested to actually doing the cleaning of the cinema at night?" So I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" There was another Colombian guy translated this, by the way.
All right.
Yeah. He's working now in WSP, and yeah, he's still in contact. But anyway, so it was 7 months there, and all the time thinking, well, what I'm doing. I mean, I'm an engineer in Colombia, And unless you are like a lower class in Colombia, you never do that kind of hospitality or normal job. I did, but normally it's not the rule. So it's not something normal for you as an adult, 24, 20, 24, 26 years, doing a
Yeah.
hospitality or cleaning jobs. At least in our culture, at least trying to adjust myself at that point of my life. So it was like what I'm doing. I mean, I'm an engineer. Well, I'm just doing some cleaning. And then all this time was thinking of, yeah, I have to improve my English and then coming back, improve my English and come back. This is going to be worth it. At some point, there was like maybe 2 years after, and then I had to make a decision and say, well, if I go back to Colombia, that's going to be hard. I already know what's living in a third world country. And the step down on the living, the style, the living style is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be proportional to just step down in my career. So I just said, all right, let's sacrifice the career for a better lifestyle. And well, we made a call and saying we're going to try very hard to stay here. We didn't care about our careers at that point. Our only objective was carry on in the country.
How close were you to going back? Was there ever, a moment where you were like, "No, I can't do it. I need to, I'm an engineer or whatever. I had a good career back in
That
Colombia."
was at the second year, I think, second or third year. I said, well, I cannot deal with this anymore, because after the cinema, I
Mm.
started to work at one of the pig and whistles.
Okay, yeah,
And I started as a glassy. Oh, started as a glassy is hard. I mean, you have to do lots of dirty jobs and long nights and stuff like that. That was a hard time.
yeah,
And at some point, your mind just breaks down. It's just like, yeah, I want to go back. That's it. I mean, no family, no friends, not anything. Basically, you're just gagging for being in your country.
yeah.
Once you start to just actually be included of your community, it's when you actually feel part of the whole thing. Um, Fortunately, I could find like a couple of really good friends at the Pig and Whistle that make me feel like any home.
Mm.
So after the third year, I was very very close to actually tell Karen, yeah, let's go back. Karen said, no, no, it's gonna be worth it. Believe me, believe me. So I just said, all right, let's stay. Let's try to be better friends with these people at the Pig and Whistle. Let's try to find a better studies to actually we're gonna use in the future, and let's give it a go.
And how do you sort of reflect on it now? Like now you have, now you're a citizen. Now you have this job with Swagelok. I guess are you sort of you glad that you stuck it out? Are you proud of yourself as well?
Well, I wouldn't say proud. I would say grateful, perhaps,
Mm.
and but happy to have all of that experience. I mean, going through all of that challenges, language, culture, food, lack of family, lack of friends, make you stronger in many other aspects. You know what I mean? Um, Grateful because in the future, I'm not gonna break that easy, as so many people will do, potentially. So yeah, no, quite happy to go through that. It's just anything, you know what I mean? It's very very uncomfortable doing a big change like that because it's not only a change of job, it's not only a change of friends. It's your whole life basically changing, and that's the hard part of being a foreigner. And if you want to stay in the country, which makes you a migrant, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. So quite happy with that. Very, very happy, and feel that I'm stronger than I was in Colombia.
yeah.
Perhaps I used to make lots of tantrums in Colombia for little things. Not now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It built that resilience, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like making a fuss for anything. As I said, we not privileged. I used to be privileged in Colombia, but not that kind of rich privilege, but in the middle class privilege that you can complain for anything on
okay,
the table. I don't do that now. I mean, after going to Pick and Whistle
yeah,
and pass through, you know, being a glassy, being a bartender, until supervisor, until I scale it up until being a duty manager. So I got enough complaints to say I got the right to actually make a complaint. No, I don't want
yeah.
to do it. Just let it go, mate. Got your burger, got your salads as it is.
Okay. Mate, you touched upon your your time back in Colombia. Obviously, you grew up there. How do you feel your sort of Colombian South American heritage has shaped who you are today? Because I know it's obviously you're it's a proud culture, right? And it's there's a lot of aspects to it which shape and define people who come from the culture like you are. How has it shaped you? Do you think?
Yeah, that's one of the first things that you have to forget if you actually want to achieve things in Australia, unfortunately. So
Okay.
that's the price that you have to pay. So, for example, now I'm trying to be integrated again in the Colombian community. When I come to this country, I got one objective, only one objective, which was improving English. So I isolate myself to any Colombian that speak to me. Any Colombian that you speak to me, I just said, sorry, I'm not interested.
Really?
So I isolate myself of the whole community, and I just start to make friends from any other culture. Let's say Japanese, Chinese, Australian, English, whatever it was that forced me to speak in English. So it was like 3 or 4 years of very minimal contact with Colombians, very minimal. And obviously, you come across like a cocky guy that, oh, you think that you're better because like you don't want to talk to us. And I was like, no, it's not about that. I'm not gonna lose the investment of huge money for speaking in Spanish in another country. That's silly. Um, and also, once you get a little bit of more English, you want to make it perfect in a way.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna make it through Latin parties and Latin conversations. Unfortunately, you have to just be with Aussie people with English, Scottish, Irish, and then it's when you actually get the skills to to learn English. Coming back to your question, I'm trying now to be more involved with my community. I feel happy. I've never used the word proud, to be honest. Proud is something that is not related to be humble, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I don't. I try to avoid that kind of word, unfortunately. But I feel like I need to be more involved with my community. I normally talk to Karen and say, I'm grateful that I was born in Colombia. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel how I feel in Australia.
Mm.
So, you coming from England, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for you, it shouldn't be a big change. I mean, things in England could be kind of similar, food and people,
Mm.
language,
Yeah.
culture. Bit different, obviously, but not as much.
Yeah.
As a result, obviously, you enjoy Australia, but you cannot experience what I feel when I'm on the beach or when I'm in a restaurant or when I'm walking at home at night, just feeling safe. So
Mm.
that kind of feeling, it's due to I was born in Colombia, and I feel happy about it because otherwise I wouldn't feel that
Yeah.
kind of feeling and excitement being in Australia. Um, yeah, no, I think it's pretty much it. Um,
Yeah.
Not proud of being Colombia, but grateful.
But grateful. Yeah. No, I really like that, mate. Really like that answer. Cool, mate. We've talked about your past, what you've been doing to get to where you are now. We've talked about what you are doing right now. What about the future? What does the future hold for Oscar?
Yeah, that's always the question, isn't it?
Mm.
That's endless questions. Um, to be honest with you, I would like to have my own business one day. Either like cafe or something related to hospitality, um, or importing or exporting things. Something that makes all my effort leave something behind me. If I got any family, leave something
Okay.
instead of a house or a car, living a business, living something that they can actually gonna use. Also, I feel like when you put in a big effort on something on your own, you're gonna do it better. I would say it's not painful when you're working for what is gonna be yours, like properly yours. And I think that's one of the main drivers of going to sales, because sales is one of those jobs that people look at down in a way, especially in engineering. So all the engineers, when you say what you doing, and it's like, well, I'm in sales. Oh, all right, yeah, no, that sounds good, but I would like to have like a real engineering job. And I was like, all right, this guy's a cunt. Um, Sales for me, it's the only work that your work is going to be rewarded according to the intensity that you put in it or the big effort. So you put a good effort, you got good money. You don't put effort, you don't get money, mate. As simple as that. Engineers are really, really, I don't know how to describe it, but it can be rude in a way. The ones that are at the plant all the time, doing like rotary shift at night, at day, all the time, sweaty. They think that they're the best because they do that. I hate that. Fuck that. That's something that I don't want to have in my life. I mean, as much as I enjoy the engineering, the intriguing, the challenges of engineering, I don't want to put myself in a plant and spend my life most of the time over there. I like to be on the road,
Yeah.
having meetings, having perhaps a coffee, looking some figures, looking for trends, looking for strategies. That's something that we actually design for, not for being on a plant, checking the temperature of this meter or checking the pressure here and being called at 2 in the morning. Oh, the production plant is gonna, stop at any minute. Could you come in here? Oh God, that's something that I wouldn't prefer really. And then because that, they feel a little bit better. I think I silly. But yeah, coming back to your question, I think that the future is in sales. That's one of the
Yeah.
if you listen up the richest people in the world and ask for advice, they say go for sales, go for sales. That's the first step that you have to do before you have your own business. You have to remove that ego. You
Yeah.
have to remove all that shame to talk to people. You know what I mean? You have to be connected with them. You have to be comfortable around people. You have to know how to make deals. You have to know about suppliers, distribution, chain, different things. And that's
Mm.
something that you learn in sales, essentially. And that's what I want in my life.
What about one final question for you, mate? What about success? What does success mean to you? And I appreciate there might be some crossovers to what you've just said there. But more
That's
broadly speaking, this can be personal as well, outside of work. What does success mean to Oscar?
success. That was one of the questions that really, really takes time to answer. That change every year. Every single time that I
Yeah.
ask a question, like couple of years, changed the answer changed.
Mm.
It used to be when I used to be in Colombia more materialistic
Okay.
in terms of having cars, houses, and all these, going to the best restaurants, having the best suits. These days, it's more about living according to human nature. Um, you know, living a life according to wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, all of these virtues that actually make your life having more sense. If I can live a life like that, that's successful. That's success for me, at least. And if I do that at the very end of my life, that's what I think now, that my life would be successful.
Mm.
Important things, yeah, houses, cars, all of these. It's nice to have it. If I don't, I can live without them. But living without a life, a virtuous life, could be hard.
So it's more about knowing your values and staying true to them. And if you can do that,
It's
then that's success.
Yeah, it's living about the
Mm.
our own nature. Helping others. I always put this example. So in the past, for example, being a butcher used to be like a good job, but not because they are the providers of the food or anything. The community used to be a little bit smaller, but you have a big part of the role in your community. So it was the butcher, the barber, all these people were really recognized in the communities because they make an impact in the community. It used to be, oh, look at the butcher, that gives me the
Yeah.
best meat, best cuts. Look at the barber. They used to make a huge impact in the community. As the communities start to be bigger, our life is not making any more impact in life in the community. Sorry. So, for example, you working in BSM, I'm working in Swagelok. What's our actual input in the
Yeah.
community? We are just part of the machine. You know what I mean? It's just There is not any input. If we don't l- help others or make an impact in the community, life feels a little bit empty. It's just like what I'm doing with my life. I mean, I'm
Okay.
just waking up and not doing anything else. Making an impact is something that makes you feel full. You can do that when you live according to your nature.
Yeah. So how do you aim to have that impact in your life?
That's something that I'm figuring out. I
Mm.
mean, this is very new for me. Don't get me wrong. When I left hospitality, I was in 80 kilos, drinking beer every day, on smokies. That was the worst version of myself ever.
Mm.
I never seen myself lower than that. Start to working with my last company and start to just all this process of being on the track again. And through that process, like stick to a routine, having good breakfast, having protein, vegetables, going to the gym,
Mm.
getting the books, read. All of these little habits that you can have in your life improve so much what you think about life. So this one is still something new for me. I've been doing this for
Mm.
2 years, and still I'm trying to figure out different aspects of my life. At that point, I couldn't even sleep, well. I was either intoxicated with alcohol or with lots of anxiety and saying, what I'm going to do with my life. I feel, all the chemicals in your body basically fuck your mind. And once you detox your mind, once you detox your body, you get good habits. Your mind is clear every day and you can understand a little bit more why we are here. So
Mm.
I'm still figuring out how to make that impact in the community. I don't know, but it's something that I would like to do.
Yeah. Well, I think obviously you're aware of it. That's step one, right?
That's the
You know.
first step, but it's not enough if you don't know what to do. Intentions is a really good path, but you actually have to do something. Um,
Mm.
you know, you got very good intentions in life. I would like to have this job. I would like to have this routine. But if you don't action that, well, it's just an intention. It's just a thought. So definitely is something that I'm still working on. I hope to have some answers in the next year, middle of the
Yep.
next year. And try, it's something that I work out. I got with my girlfriend, the personal development hour. It's every Sunday. We having
Oh
a
yeah.
coffee and we just stop everything that is happening. We go to any Starbucks or any cafe, open our computer and try to just, work on ourselves. Whatever you need to read, whatever you want to research, but everything has to be related to personal development. That's good. That's a good habit.
Yeah. I love that. Any sort of advice or any tips, any things you read in that hour or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah. I think that the best tip is, something I can tell to people is, you have to have your objectives very clear. But I'm not talking about like I want to work for chemical industry. I want to work on sales. That has to be more precise, like extremely precise. I want to work for this company with this salary with these kind of people. If it's not an objective like that, it's nothing. You actually gonna achieve things when you have clearance in your mind. You have a clear idea what you want to achieve. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it because it's
Mm.
only an idea. It's only something quite broad. It could be anything. And when we actually have ideas, like very, very clear ideas, we can achieve them. Um, have you heard about like vision boards?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got, still working every now and then on mine. It's but you have every morning what you have to have clear on the day and say, well, this is when I'm gonna go.
Mm.
This exactly images but I wanna be. So you're going through that. It's actually helpful. I didn't believe that in the past, to be honest. It's not something that is going to make you rich. It's not something that is going to make you better person. No, it's nothing about that. It's just having your objectives clear every morning. That's it.
Yeah.
Uh, the results are not going to be good because you have that in your world. Definitely not. But what I can guarantee is that that's going to happen.
Yeah. Very visual. Then it's like
Very
it's there
visual.
every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Our minds work in ways that we don't know, unfortunately. But that's one of the things that it's always common. You see something. It's like this saying, "Monkey does what monkey sees."
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If I start to just yawn or do this, unconsciously
Mm.
you're gonna make it, mate, because you're just looking at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, having clear ideas, having dreams, but clear dreams.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, that's as you say, everyone's mind's different. For me, it's like I tend to work. I tend to set like I try and have like a purpose, a bigger purpose. That's almost like a, and those purposes are like never ending. So I'm all because I'm better in pursuit of a goal rather than actually when I hit the goal. So I prefer chasing the goal. So I set these big purposes or these big sort of visions, and they're often a little bit vague, if that makes sense. So I don't. They're often not that specific, but they're just long, never-ending, infinite games that I'm playing. So one of my goals is to be, one of the best recruiters in this country,
Yeah,
run the best recruitment team, business unit in this country, in my sector, and that's almost quite broad. It doesn't really, it's not.
yeah,
There's no way to define it, but that's the sort of overarching goal, and it's an infinite game that I'm playing. And off the back of that, I set goals to sort of reverse engineer. So how do I do that? And then it's like, right, you do that, and it's sort of whittle it down to sort of, right, what am I doing on that day to achieve that overall?
the big picture. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
as long as you got the steps together, um, I think that's the most important. But honestly, it's whatever works for you. For me,
yeah,
it works having a clear thing. If for you the re-engineering all the time works, that's as well perfectly well. But the thing is, having dreams and clear dreams where you want to go, that's a big key. That's
yeah,
something that you have to establish in your life. Otherwise, I got these friends of mine that all they are dreamers. And there's good dreaming, but it's just like I want to have my own business. All right, what you want to do? I don't know, something that make me money. And I was like, all right, any ideas? No, just money and be free. And it's like, all right, no, this is not working, man. I mean, um, it's just these broad ideas that don't take you to any place. There is no any steps. There is no any development on that, and uh,
yeah.
and they just carry on saying the same weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I'm like, you're all the time saying this shit, but you're never doing anything.
Well, that's it. That's the difference. Talking and doing is so different. Like
Exactly.
I
That's
heard
the
something.
difference. That's the difference between. Sorry for interrupting.
No, no.
That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. So, do you know how to clean a window?
You know how to do it, right?
You, do you?
Yeah,
Yeah, but how often do you do it? You know what I mean?
yeah. Not often. Yeah.
Not often. So you got the knowledge, but you know wise on cleaning windows. So
Mm,
that's the only difference. I can get lots of knowledge, but if you don't actually using it, well, it's not worth it.
yeah.
Have it.
No, I heard something the other day. It was like I got it here. It's like talking about doing the thing
Mm.
isn't doing the thing.
Okay.
Scheduling time to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Preparing time to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Talking, messaging your mates about doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Beating yourself up about not doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Just do the thing. So
Yeah,
rather than talk,
definitely,
do.
definitely. That's a very very clear representation of what we're talking
Mm.
about here. Yeah. Obviously, I have to say though, add on that, there is a lot of things that happens in your mind, in my mind, and somehow verbalizing it helps a lot. That's something that I have to admit. When you talk
Okay.
to someone and actually all these thoughts, because these are rebel thoughts, it's lots of dreams, ideas, lots of things happening in your mind. But when you verbalize them, you actually develop them. So I would say that maybe talking about them helps a little bit.
Mm.
But obviously, cannot stop in speaking about it. You have to or write it down or do something about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oscar Penagos, really enjoyed the chat, mate. Thank you very much for taking the time to come on my show, talk me through your journey. I think um, it's really an inspiring story. I love how your career has sort of gone the ups and downs and the journey and the persistence that you've shown to sort of stick things out and to sort of end up where you are today and still with sort of lots and big dreams ahead. Mate, I really appreciate you sharing the journey, and I think there's a lot to take away from that episode. So, Gracias, amigo.
Yes,
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for coming on, mate.
is really appreciated. Thank you very much. And all right, hope to see you soon. Hey,
Adios.
take care, man. Bye bye.